Hello there. Welcome to Reselling into Retirement. I'm Nancy Lohr, and this channel is about people who are 55 years old and older who are either retired or they're going into retirement and they're reselling. And we want to hear a little bit about their successes, their trials and tribulations, and why they do what they do. And today I am honored to be able to talk to Beth Tilman, who is retired. She has had a long career in hospital administration and insurance claims, and who has been a reseller for a while. So tell us a little bit about that, Beth, how long you've been reselling and how you got into it.
Sure. The thing that got me into it originally was probably something that other people encounter, is that my mom moved from her big house to a retirement community, and amazingly I had left a lot of stuff there when I moved out, and so I had to go and pick it up, and what was I going to do with it? So you get kind of attached to it and you feel like maybe you should get some money for it. So I had my Barbies, and I had some like Disney-ana stuff, and back then eBay was all auction, so I put it on eBay auction and sold it. And it's awfully nice when you get money. I just think we're like, it must light up a part of our brain when you're like, oh, look, I sold this and I got money. And so then you're kind of hooked. And back then it was all desktop. There was no app, so you didn't get a cha-ching. You just like walked away and came back. And
how long ago was that?
That was about, I think it was 2003.
Okay.
So, and I did it just, like, I don't know, as I came across things in the house I didn't want, then I would list them. I sold fabric, I sold like lace, I don't know, just the strangest things. Like whenever I would clean the house, I would say, oh, look, I don't need this, let me sell it on eBay. So that was kind of how it started. And there was no, like, initially, I can't even remember what I did with the money. I'm sure I just took it and spent it. It was like, it was not important to my living expenses. I'm sure it helped, but I never did it because I was motivated by money. Interestingly enough, it was just kind of like a fun thing to do. And yeah, and then I stopped doing it for a while, and then I went back to it later on, probably went back to it in about 2008 and did that. I actually had an eBay store, and I stumbled upon a thing because of my kids' activities, and it was competition swimsuits. So in looking to find them cheap for my girls, I found that I could source these things and then I could sell them on eBay and make money. And I even had a sniper program where I would snipe things off of eBay because it was all auctions, and I would snipe them off of eBay and then I would resell them and make a lot more money, because apparently even back then I knew about keywords and why other people's listings weren't selling. So I would make more money off of their things than they did selling them to me. So
that's something I got to start doing, is sniping. It sounds so covert,
yeah.
Sniping.
Yeah, well, it's only good with auctions, right? Yeah. So there's not a lot of auctions out there, but there's some.
Yeah. So reselling, it sounds like it's kind of taken a turn for you over the years, because it was something you kind of fell into. And I think especially with the people who are 55 and older, you find yourself at a spot where we have aging parents, or we have we've realized that all this stuff that we have saved, nobody wants it. Right. Nobody wants it. And, our house is just bursting with all this stuff. And it's like, how are we going to get rid of it? Who wants it? And I think that's how a lot of people stumble into reselling, is they just start. And I think it's the easiest way, is you just start looking at what you have at home, because you have investment in it, but I mean, it's just been so long. And then you have parents who are either passing away, or their houses need to get cleaned out. And you're like, what do I do with it? And so you just kind of start dabbling in it, and before you know it, you've got a business going. You've got some side hustle going.
Yeah. It's funny. I talk about like rehoming things. Like if you have like a possession that was meant something to you, giving it to the Goodwill is just sad, because it's almost like throwing it in the garbage. But if I can put it out there on eBay and somebody wants it and it goes, I'm like, oh, look, I rehomed it. I'm so happy. It's gone to someone who wants it too. So
Yes.
bye, enjoy it.
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, it gives you a good feeling because somebody else is enjoying it. You know, you enjoyed it for a certain amount of time. And I think for me, I don't know about you, but I think for me, there's I used to, buy things and then they would sit on a shelf. I'm looking right now at some of the things that are on my shelf, and I think, okay, I don't have that attachment anymore. I mean, I can have it for a while. I can look at it. It's like, okay, it's time to go to the next home. Do
Yeah.
you find that too?
Yeah, no, I do. And it's funny. I would say the thing that's the hardest for me is that there are things that, like, I remember this so specifically. I had a great aunt. She was the first, and it actually started with my great aunt, and then it was my grandmother, and then it was my mother. All of these people who just kept like moving to nursing homes and had all of this stuff left behind. And my great aunt had a blue hobnail vase, just a real little round thing with kind of like a scalloped edge. And we were having a yard sale, and somehow my dad popped in and he was like, "You're selling that at a yard sale? You can't sell that at a yard sale. That was your aunt's." And then he was like, he was emotionally attached to it. So then I brought it into my house, and I want to say it stayed there till one of my kids broke it. And then it was like, well, it lived its useful life. Sad it's gone, but we've used it up now. So
True, and that's
got used up. But yeah, so there's that whole thing about attachment. And I don't know about you, but like my mom lived through the Depression, and my father grew up in the Caribbean on a little island where they got nothing unless it came on a boat. And so both of them were really frugal, and their possessions were, I'm going to say, important to them, but they were utilitarian, and there was no such thing as fast fashion. Nothing came into your home or your life that you didn't work hard for. So everything had a value. And I think it's so different in this day and age where, like, people go to the mall and they buy like multiple pairs of shoes. Let's just say that if I needed a pair of shoes, I would go to the mall looking for a specific pair of shoes. Like, I needed shoes to wear to the prom. So you would go to the mall, look for those shoes. Or I need softball cleats. So you're going to go and buy that specific thing. The concept of going shopping and coming back with who knows what is a foreign concept. So
yeah, true. You are retired now, and you spent, like I mentioned, you spend your years as a hospital administrator and then in insurance claims, and kind of what you learned in the hospital world really helped you help people moving forward in insurance claims. And the reason why you're not in that anymore is because it was 2020 came and
right. And I was retirement eligible as of March 1st, 2017. Not like anyone's counting, but I knew if I made it to March 1st of 2017, that any day after that, I was like in bonus, if that makes any sense. So I made it to August 26th of 2020. And and so, if I'm fortunate that I'm from the generation where we have a pension and a company contributing 401k. So having been very diligent about putting money into my 401k and having a company funded pension, I'm never going to be destitute. I have that safety net. And, so I'm really fortunate. But why would I touch it until I have to? I have a husband, he's still working. So we're basically living on his income. And sometimes I touch the savings, but I'd rather not. And eBay now makes up that gap.
Okay.
It really does. So it's like, we went out to a really expensive dinner last week, which we never do, but it was our 35th anniversary. And so we spent like a lot of money. And it was like, well, I had a good week on eBay. That'll almost cover it. And then I had a good week on eBay this week. And I'm like, oh, there you go. It's all covered. And then like, oh, I have a car payment. Look, I made enough this week to make my car payment. So it's just kind of nice. And when it comes time to pay the bills, I'm like, oh, look, I have money to pay the bills,
Yeah, that's a good feeling, isn't it? Just having that little stash, or, your, and the way you get paid on eBay. I mean, I love it. I mean, it can be, weekly, it can even be daily if you want, you could take your money out daily. And where can you go and work and just get paid that day?
Yeah.
You can't do that. But I think for a lot of people in our age bracket, having that income could change everything.
Oh, sure.
It could change, and some people aren't as fortunate where they have their the 401ks and haven't been as
Right.
about saving money.
Right.
Or maybe they've lost money. They've made some investments that they thought were safe and end up being not so safe. Or
Right.
things go south. I mean, in so many ways that it's unbelievable. And sometimes in life you have to take risks in order to get
Right.
something. Unfortunately, it doesn't always go the way you plan. So this is kind of like doing reselling is kind of like a safety net. It's a
Yes.
safety net, and it also gives a person who is retired, I think, a sense of purpose, just a sense of, okay, I'm tired of what I do. I've just spent I'm done there. And here I have something new that I can create. I can make that.
Right. Right. And you're your own boss. I mean, I don't know, like I worked for corporate America for 32 years. So I was never my own boss. The bottom line was never something that I worried about. Yes, I was aware of it and it affected me over 32 years, the ups and downs of the economy and business and that type of thing. But to be fully responsible for your own expenses and your own, like, for instance, people who work at home these days, for a corporation, their keystrokes are monitored. Their computers are monitoring them. The thought of that is like kills me. But on the other hand, it keeps them honest. So if we think about, like, if I'm going to set aside, I don't know, 4 hours a day to work on eBay, that I should make those 4 hours as productive as possible. But I'm working for myself. So the person who I answer to, if I don't do it, I'm the boss. I have to answer to the boss. It's just a whole different mentality. So,
yeah, it certainly is. And a lot of people aren't instilled with that integrity like you are. And so sometimes it's just you're born with it, and other times it's nurtured and developed by working for, as much as we hate working for the man and the corporation.
yes.
Believe me, and I've spent my days in corporate America for a long time. I've been self-sufficient and working for myself, self-employed for many years now. A whole different ball of wax, but it is what it is, and you learn all these different skills in each area, whether you're working
Right.
for corporate America or whether you're working for yourself,
Right.
if you want to be successful.
Right. Well, I mean, I'm sure you know this too, right? You have to drive the numbers.
Yes.
No matter who
Oh,
you work for. If you work for corporate America, they want to see your numbers.
that's right.
Whatever it is they're measuring, something is measured. If you work for yourself, you need to see the numbers. And so with eBay, the beauty of that is we can see the numbers. So if you've learned to be motivated by the numbers, within a structure that you're accustomed to.
Mhm. Mhm.
So
And I think that's for me. That's why I like. Well, Beth and I had met through a program called Reseller Nirvana, where two gentlemen have put together just this whole, I want to say, eBay empire, because there is nothing like it. And I was attracted to it, because of the structure, because right down to the very organization and how you find your product and your numbers, anything that you want, you can find under this umbrella that they have, for lack of a better term, that they have built. And it's ongoing. I mean, it's 24/7 even.
right. It's
Which is
almost like
great.
they have a rubric. You know what I'm saying? They have a rubric for how to be,
Yes.
what to do. And so you can, the interesting thing is that it works, I think, for the brand new reseller and also for the seasoned reseller, because it helps the seasoned reseller refine their processes. They've developed processes, but they may not have scrutinized them in the way that the reseller Nirvana way encourages. And they have like an encyclopedia of knowledge, if that makes any sense. You can just go in and say, I want to know about this, and it's right there. You go and look it up, and then you read it at your own pace.
Absolutely. And some people do better reading the written word, they want to read the instructions. Some people are more auditory, where they have to hear it, where you can jump into this, what they call a 24-hour room, and you can just get that information because there's
Right.
people on there, and you could say, hey, I'm having a problem with, photographing my listings, or whatever the case may be. And there's somebody in there and that will be able to just walk you right through it. And I think that is important in a lot of ways, because after we retire, or even me, I live remotely, I work remotely. I'm more of an extrovert, even though after 2020, I kind of became an introvert, for various reasons. But, when you I'm really struggling, with my age, and never thought I would, but, you get to that point where, okay, who is my community? The people sometimes that you have been, friends, your family, that, you always have those people, but you start to veer off and you have different interests, and you need nurturing in different areas. So, to find communities, and there's not just the community we're in, but they're out there that really aligns with you and helps you in your reselling journey it's essential. I mean, it's paramount in your success. Again, this can mean anything to anybody, but just something to do, something to occupy your time, or, if you're really money motivated, or just you need money because, you've, like my husband and I mean, we've made some investments and they haven't panned out. And we're, and our jobs have changed because it takes a lot of fuel to put in my husband's a logger, he has a logging operation.
Oh my goodness.
Until you start the car in the morning, you don't have a business, so things have changed a lot there. But
do you find, Nancy, that like the thing that you miss is that, like, the coworker who's doing what you're doing, like you bump into somebody and you're like, oh, like, I don't know, like how many, like for instance, how many claims did you close? Or, how did that trial go? Or something like that, like somebody. And I knew that early in life. When I was a hospital administrator, I was not happy with the job, and I went looking for a new job. And the job I wanted was in an office with people who did what I did, so that I could bounce ideas off of them. And we had a common goal. It was really interesting that I came up with that and figured it out. But I liked that. And when you're at home reselling, you're a lone ranger. But when you're on the Reseller Nirvana group, we have that 24-hour Zoom room. So I don't have to ever be alone. Like I will turn it on and leave it, and it's silent. Nobody's talking. And then people talk. And that's just how it is in the office, right? People are sitting at their desk, they're working really hard. And then they get up for a cup of coffee or whatever, and they might chit chat and whatever. And then they have to get back to work. And so that's just been honestly like one of the coolest things. And then also, I don't know if you feel this way, but when you work in a job with other people doing what you do, you see how people do things that's different from how you do them. And you're like, look at that. They're doing that. I might want to do that. And I wouldn't have thought of it, right? I wouldn't have thought of it. And, they say two heads are better than one. So true. So true. So my knowledge and your knowledge put together creates even a third, the two interact together, and together we come up with even a better way that neither of us would have thought about. So, learning about all of the functionality of eBay, right? It has there's so much to know about eBay. There's so much to know about that platform that some of it I probably would have never stumbled upon, or I would have never understood, and I wouldn't have anybody to ask. But now, we can become eBay experts by having this knowledge base. And then the other thing is that there are people out there whose sole entire income is eBay. And that is like, wow, that's amazing.
It is.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And I'm not talking like people like you and I who are like not supporting, I don't know, but we're not supporting children. And there are people out there who have small children, who have sports, who have all kind of activities, and yet they're doing this. And they're doing it full time, and they're making a living at it.
I don't know how they do it, but they're doing it, and they're doing it well.
Right. It's amazing to watch them. And there's so much to learn from that.
Mm-hmm. And I think, that's why I wanted to create this channel, because looking at the 20s and the 30s and the even, the 40s, these people have this energy that's like, wow. I mean, I got, my 40 listings done today and I worked 10 hours and I'm thinking to myself, I feel like such a slacker, but I know I'm not a slacker. I move a little bit slower. I do have other obligations, but you can't help but see that. But then, you find your people, you find your tribe, within the
Yes.
tribe within the tribe, I guess.
Yes.
Where what I'm leading towards.
Yes.
And the information is there for you, no matter how much or how little you really want to do. But you could be wildly successful at this. And
yes.
And it really, blows my mind. Just, there's a lot to eBay. Like you said, there's a tremendous amount. And I talked to, and here's another thing that is really important. I think I've ran into a lot of groups on YouTube and a lot of groups in other areas, and people, they don't want to give you the secret sauce. They don't want to give you the info that they think they hoard their information, because they think, oh, if I tell somebody, this, they're going to run off and do exactly what I'm doing. Where, people aren't really like that. I mean, they may try to do what you do, but nobody can ever do it just like you.
Right.
They can never do that. You got your own secret sauce. And if you share your secret sauce with somebody else, you can just rest assured, I mean, it might not even work for them,
Right. Well, like, do you sell clothing?
I do sell clothing.
Well, think about it. Like, unless you're buying, like, I don't know, a pallet of shelf poles, like, leave that aside. Let's just say that you're sourcing a variety of things, including, we'll just go with American Eagle blue jeans, right? That if you like a certain style, size, color of American Eagle blue jeans, and you want to replace it, and you don't want to, either the store doesn't have it or you can't find it, then you're going to go to eBay. And often, if you go and look on eBay, there may be one pair or two pairs of that specific jeans, and they don't stay there because the inventory moves, people buy it. Mm-hmm. And so, while, say for instance, you and I only sold blue jeans and we only sold American Eagle blue jeans, you wouldn't necessarily be my competitor.
No.
We're co-workers, but we're not competitors, because we're sourcing whatever you find. You can't go out and order that particular style of blue jeans, and nor can I. We just know that there's a demand for that. We sold it before. Let's go look for it. Mm-hmm. And we might look through 100 pairs of American Eagle blue jeans that are not desirable. And then we say, oh, look, here's this one. I know if I take this home and list it, it'll sell. Mm-hmm. And so we can say, hey, Nancy, I found this, I don't know, super skinny, straight boot cut or something, stretch. Yeah. And you'll be like, oh my gosh, that's great.
Right.
And we're not competitors. We're
there's no competition, even though we sell the same thing. I mean, where do you really find that? You just, you don't. And, and I think some of these, self-proclaimed gurus in the world, they're kind of, covert, and they're kind of, quiet, and, not, I mean, only giving you so much information, and then, but not, all of it. These guys, I mean, Chris and Tech, I mean, it's out there. I mean, they're just like telling you everything that they know, Are we doing, the business? Are we copying them? No, I couldn't do exactly the way Chris or Tech does. My gosh. I mean, these guys are like superhuman. It seems like sometimes, I wonder how they do it, but, and that's okay, because I don't want to do it exactly like them, but I want to take what they know and put my spin on it.
Right. And, too, like, think about this. You watch a lot of YouTube resellers, or have, we smorgasbord sample what's out there, and you go back to the ones you like. But, like, you hear people saying, oh, I sold this much on Poshmark. But then you look at what they're selling, and it's like, did they really find Prada shoes at the Goodwill for $3? Or did they find them at a yard sale for $2? I promise you, if they did, they would tell you. Mm-hmm. So what their gross is in a week is not really reflective of what their net income is. Mm-hmm. And then let's look at what we do. we talk, what is your average cost of goods? Oh, my average cost of goods is $4.45. Oh, I'm trying to get it down to $4. Where do you source? This kind of thing. And that's where iron sharpens iron. You know what I mean? It's like you start out and you're like, oh, I found a pair of American Eagle blue jeans and I paid $10 for them. I'm like, oh, look, I can sell them for 18. At the end of the day, this was just practice. It's a waste of my time.
Right.
Right.
Yes, exactly.
But, yeah.
And it's just amazing, just actually what does sell, and just the tools that are out there, like Terapeak and things that, where you can really sharpen your skills and, really hone down and figure out what is available in your area. I live in the middle, like I said, the middle of nowhere. My closest thrift is about, actually it's about 40 minutes away is my closest thrift.
Yeah.
And, and they're all different, but I don't have, a pool of, 10, 12 thrift shops I can go to, but you have to make it work in your own way. I don't plan on moving anytime soon. I may have to go to another area. I may have to travel 5 hours. And to me, that's okay, or you find things in different ways. You can put advertisements out there saying, hey, I'm looking for clothing, I'm looking for certain brands. I sell books too. I sell clothing and I sell books. I know they're two different things, but I kind of started out in books and kind of got into clothes because everybody was selling them. And I thought, and they're plentiful. That's the thing, and for me, the whole daily sales thing is a big deal. That made a lot of sense to me to kind of have a base. It's almost like a base plus commission,
Right.
That's
no,
just,
that makes sense. That's a good way to put it. I never thought of it that way. But
well, that's just how my world works. You make a base, and then, your commission is kind of like when you make the big sales, when you find something. So, that's why I got into both, but you can, there's so many avenues, that if you just think about it and think about your resources, what you have available, you can do well. It's just tapping into it. And it takes time. This is not a get rich quick scheme. It can be work, but it's good. It's different work from going to work at a corporation or working for somebody. It's a different kind of, it's rewarding and it's fulfilling. And I think when you get to the end, I don't want to say the end, but when you get to what you feel is, the end of your career, so to speak, it doesn't have to end there. I guess that's the thing. I have so many friends and people. I have a gentleman, when you talk about, just your coworkers and how you bounce ideas off of them and, how important that always was. I have a colleague that does the same thing that I do, just in a different area, different territory. And he was forced to retire because of health issues. So him and I are in close contact, and he kind of feels like, wow, this is the end of my life. I just, all these friends and people that I've, relationships I've established. What do I do now? I'm just, sharing with him, it doesn't have to, it never has to end. You just have to kind of shift it. You have to shift to, what are your interests? How much energy do you have? How many hours in a day do you have? And you can hone this business around whatever you have.
Right. And what is your interest? You know what I'm saying? Like he might have, like, everybody has like something that they know, video games or collecting coins or like, I don't know, like all kinds of things. Like my husband, if he was to do this business, the things that he would like resell would be so entirely different than what I would resell. This is entirely different, and it's like, and it sounds like, I think, we're almost hitting on the like retired and not 100% dependent on this income, is that you used to go to work every day and now you don't have to. So when you wake up in the morning, what do you do? Now, do you watch Law and Order all day? Do you watch Court all day? Do you know what I mean? Do you watch, nobody watches soap operas anymore, but you know what I'm saying? Or do you get up and you do something every day? And and like, you made a comment about people getting elderly and what have you. My mom was elderly, and the first couple of years that I was unemployed or retired, I spent a lot of time with her, taking care of her, dealing with things, but she passed away. And you know what happens when that happens? Your phone does not ring. Your phone doesn't ring. You don't realize that there are people in your life who not only do you not have work anymore, but people are not they have an expiration date. People, friends, I had a good friend and I was always like, oh, when I retire, we'll do this. And guess what? She moved to another state because her daughter was in another state. So you have to like constantly, you know, I think it's healthy to have a schedule. It's healthy to have something to do every day when you work up. It's healthy to have like a goal and a purpose. And it doesn't just have to be reselling, but that fits in there. And if you have to source, then you leave your house, you go out, you're involved in the world. You might encounter other resellers, you go to yard sales, you know, all of these things that you do that keep you engaged in the world and keep you an active person with a purpose and a value. And you know, people that are 90 can resell on eBay.
Absolutely.
You know, they could like, you know, you can source inventory online. It comes to you. You can have, like my daughters will source for me. So you can have people who source for you. You can have the post office pick up your packages. You can tell, if you wanted to, you could do everything. I don't know. Amazon sends you every shipping supply that you need. So you could conceivably do eBay with, even if you were like handicapped or something.
Absolutely.
So that's the beauty of it, I think. And again, like you said, you can do it as hard and as much money as you need. And then you can adapt it down to, say I was drawing Social Security. I'm not yet, but you know, and I needed a little extra, or I needed money to pay for my supplemental Medicare. You know what I mean? Like concrete things.
Yes.
You can have but that's a very doable thing. If you needed $232 a month, you know, you could do that on eBay. Real simple.
Exactly. I mean, even $1,000 a month, I mean, is not hard to get to. And it's just, that can change people's lives in a very dramatic way. And that's what's so beautiful about it. And that's, you know, that was kind of the passion why I wanted to create this channel, you know, so that, you know, I can talk to people, you know, such as yourself. And, you know, it's, I mean, even though you're retired, it doesn't mean, you know, like people, I'm going to just say this, you know, I remember when I was working for a corporation, I was working for a major defense contractor years ago, and people would be in the military. They would get in the military at 20, and then they would be retired after 20 years. They'd be 40 years old. They would come to work at a company that, like a defense contractor like where I was at, and then they would retire again at 65, and then they'd go home and sit in a chair and watch TV and be dead in 6 months.
Yeah.
Because they didn't know what to do. They had, so, you know, for me, I mean, I really feel passionate about just bringing something like this, you know, to the forefront and say, hey, it doesn't have to end there. You know, just because you've been doing this for 40 years doesn't mean that's the only thing that you know. And I talk about this too, because my husband's kind of like that. He's been a logger all his life. It's a family operation. He's like the end of the generation. Nobody wants to do this anymore. We can't even hire people to do this, to work with them. So he's out there by himself cutting down trees, which is a scary thing every day. But he's this uber talented man. You know, it's like, look, you know, if I can do this, you know, you can write things, you can sell them on eBay. I can sell them for you, because he's not good with people. You know, he doesn't really, you know, there's more than 5 people in the room, he gets a little crazy, but you know, and that's okay. That's who he is. But he's a genius, you know, he's talented. So, you know, you can collaborate with people, you know, you can a husband and wife operation.
Well, you know, the other thing about being retired is, like, you know, you do all of this when you're working and you're busy and you're raising kids or what have you, taking care of parents. You're like, you don't have a lot of time to pick the things that you want to do, right? You become a soccer mom, or you become a swim mom, or whatever, based on your dance mom or something. But then you might have in the back of your mind something that you're interested in, like, you know, a book club. I don't know. I'm not in a book club, but, you know, like different things that, or you want to read more. So, like, for instance, that I always wanted to be able to go to these Bible studies that the stay-at-home moms went to. I know that's like, oh, they go to Bible study. I'm like, Bible study? I don't have time for that. And, or like, then there's other organizations that people are involved in. So I suddenly have the ability to be involved in these other activities, and I can build my day around it. So like on Tuesdays, I'm busy in the morning, you know, and then I got involved. I always wanted to do something that made a difference in the world, right? I thought, oh, maybe I'll raise funds for a charity or something. But what I'm finding, and particularly post quarantine, is that I feel like people need to interact with other people, just like you and I are interacting and we're building a friendship this way. People need each other. Being alone in your home is not the greatest thing in the whole world. And so I've gotten involved in a moms of preschoolers as a mentor mom. Like, what do I know? I just know I raised 3 children. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like, and I've been there. But these moms that are out there today, they're really struggling. They've had to be home with their kids and working and all of this. So it's like the world is needier than it's ever been, I think. And so anyway, I have the opportunity to build that into my life. Whereas at the same time, I can generate an income. So it's like, if people say like, oh, you're retired, what do you do? And it's like, well, the reality is I still work, but I work by my choice. I work at the job of my choice. People say, oh, you could be an independent claims adjuster. I really don't want to be an independent claims adjuster. I'm really working for someone else. But here I'm customer service, I'm management, I'm payroll, I'm human resources, I'm, the loading dock, I'm sourcing, I'm all of those things, it's like, so, and that's great. I love that.
Yeah, that's such a good point. We've got about just about 2 minutes left, so we'll just wrap it up. But if you're watching this and you're out there and you're at a point where you're either retired or you're going to retire and you're looking for something a little bit more or learning how to resell, I'm gonna put my link, or actually, how to contact me on Facebook and Beth's too, if you're okay with that.
Sure, that's fine.
And if you want more information, we can certainly lead it to you. And that's what I was trying to think of. I'm like, okay, what do I give people at the end here? Like a call to action. But I think that's what I'll do, is just put our links out there. And if you want to reach out, please do. And smash that like button. I always wanted to say that, so I got, people say it, smash that like button, but do that. And we'll see you on the next episode of Reselling into Retirement. Thanks so much. And
thanks, Nancy.
have a great day. Thank you, Beth. Bye now.
Bye-bye.